I absolutely love Neon White. I bought it in September of 2022 after seeing a good friend of mine streaming it, and I fell in love immediately. I loved it so much that I beat it in the first weekend I owned it, after having played it for 26 hours, before kind of burning myself out on it. I come back to it every few months and it instantly sucks me back in as I find myself desperately trying to shave my times down even further. I have over 500 hours in the game now, and I've actually climbed the leaderboard to the point that I'm one of the top 150 players in the world. Or at least I was when I wrote this script. Procrastination ruined my bragging rights. Suffice to say, I think about this game a lot. For those of you who don't know, Neon White is a first-person shooter puzzle platformer that's all built around the concept of speedrunning. The game is broken up into 121 levels across 15 chapters, with each level having a handful of tiers of medals you can achieve depending on how quickly you finish the level. The game feels amazing to play, from stumbling your way through a new level on your first attempt, to going just a bit faster on each subsequent attempt as you begin to hone your skills, to flying through so quickly that you're relying more on your own muscle memory than actually seeing or hearing things. I could honestly go on and on just gushing about how much I've enjoyed my time playing through this game, or how well it utilizes the concepts of speedrunning to make you feel more engaged with the narrative it's trying to tell. But honestly, plenty of people with more experience at video essays have done that already, and I'd probably just be repeating the same things that they've already said since this game is so easy to praise. So instead of talking about the entire game, I want to talk about the level that fascinates me most from a design standpoint. A level that feels almost wrong to speedrun. A level called Holy Ground. If you're still watching and you haven't played Neon White yet, first off, I do strongly recommend playing the game for yourself, but if you're not going to do that, I'll give a quick rundown of the game's story up to this point. You play as Neon White, former hotshot assassin and probably the biggest sub the world has ever seen. That's not super important knowledge for this video essay, but it genuinely is important to the story of the game as a whole. Anyway, every year heaven comes under siege by countless demons, so the souls that reside there, known as the Believers, gather up a bunch of sinners floating in the firmament and dub them Neons. They outfit each Neon with an old mask they had lying around and rigged with explosives, serving both as a reminder to the Neons how replaceable they are to the Believers, as well as a threat to keep them in line, or else. The Neons are then let loose on the demon-infested regions of heaven for the 10 Days of Judgment, an annual competition at the end of which the Neon who is the most useful to the Believers gets to stay in heaven. Until the next 10 Days of Judgment, at least. Over the course of the competition, however, it's revealed that not everything in heaven is what it seems. The Believers aren't agents of God as they so claim, but rather human souls who grew greedy and entitled after they arrived in the afterlife, leading to them waging war against God so they could take control and shape the afterlife as they saw fit. White and his friends decide they're going to spend the time they have left before judgment trying to find the Book of Life, hoping that with its power heaven can be set right. After a near-death experience from a betrayal at the hands of Neon Violet, White gets a vision of what might be the hiding place of the Book of Life, the Third Temple. The Third Temple was where the war between God and the Believers came to its bloody end, and so, while it seems like a long shot, having no other ideas, our heroes set off in the hopes of finding the book, leading us into Holy Ground. There are a few things about Holy Ground that make it very apparent very quickly that this isn't like every other level in the game. Both the layout of the level as well as the use of music in this level combine in some very interesting ways to make this happen, and that's easy to see from the start. Where most levels drop you right into the action, blaring high-energy breakcore music in your ears as you immediately rush forward and kill every demon in sight, Holy Ground starts you on a lone pillar with no demons to speak of, and in complete silence, the only sounds being the wind and your own footsteps. There is music in this level, but you won't hear it until you climb the wall in front of you, which in itself is another detail unique to this level. As far as I can find, there aren't any other examples of dynamic music in the other Neon White levels. As the Third Temple crests into view, the silence is somewhat filled with a slow, ethereal music piece. The level takes you on a very slow, twisting path that, unlike most other levels, doesn't have many obvious shortcuts you can take along your journey. The path is anything but intuitive, sometimes taking you on a detour that's 10 times slower than a direct path would be. Even the hint the developers provide is only 3 seconds saved on a level that's expected to take almost 2 minutes to reach the end of. There are certainly shortcuts and skips that you can employ to get to the ending faster, but That's not the point of the level like it normally would be. This level isn't a racetrack like the other levels you've been to so far, it's a guided tour. All the while you're sitting there listening to this soft, otherworldly piece that demands reverence from you for every second of it. Of course, that all changes once you finally set foot inside the temple itself. As you stomp through the ceiling, the music fades just as quickly as the light from outside, leaving you in nearly complete darkness. As you walk into the central chamber of the temple, a new piece begins to play. But where the first track could have been described as heavenly, this new one would be described best as alien. There are massive globs of what must be God's blood strewn across the room, having congealed into walls and platforms that fill the otherwise empty space. The chamber itself is torn apart, with massive holes in the floor forcing you to jump from one part of the room to the next and risk falling into the abyss below, never to be seen again. And at the center of it all, towering directly above the end goal for this level, is a massive blood-stained fist, seemingly all that's left of God himself. Everything in the level up to this point takes probably just shy of 2 minutes to make your way through, an eternity in a game built around speedrunning like this one. In contrast, this section of the level only takes about 15 seconds. It doesn't need more than that to make itself stand out. Holy Ground is a level that feels almost wrong to speedrun. Unlike almost every other level in the game, Holy Ground doesn't want you to speedrun it. And you don't have to take my word for it. The devs have said similar things in the past.
Oh, I totally missed that, Dan.
That's smart.
I can breathe a little bit, just a little bit.
Oh yeah.
This one is
it's
not
like
really a
break.
speedrun level.
Nah.
Although, what you can do to skip it is hilarious.
Oh yeah. I mean, it goes from like a 5-minute level to like a 30-second level, but it's like not that hard to do. It's just like a little creative.
Holy Ground wants you to take your time walking through the level, really take in the surroundings, and process what happened here, how it must have felt to experience it firsthand. It demands a level of respect and care that you just won't give if you're trying to run through it as fast as you possibly can. The level design on display is extremely counter to the ideas present in most of the rest of the game. The only other level that arguably feels like this is Sacrifice later on in the game. But even then, Holy Ground feels unique in its presentation. Everything that it does, counter to the usual experience of the game, only serves to heighten that experience even further. And for proof, we only need to look at the very next level, the Third Temple. The Third Temple is the second boss fight in Neon White. Neon Green, the reigning champion of the Days of Judgment, has tailed White and Red to the temple, planning to take the Book of Life for himself now that they've found it for him. After Red is seemingly killed by Violet, Green kills Violet in front of White before goading him into another fight, leading him on an agonizing chase across the temple in the process. The familiar breakcore music is blaring in our ears again as we use every platform and weapon at our disposal to sprint after Green, taking shots at him wherever we can in the meantime. While fighting Green in this level, we revisit many of the sections of Holy Ground we had just been through, but where we once felt the urge to treat the level with caution and slowly take in our surroundings, we are now tearing our way through the scenery, destroying everything as we chase down Green in our desperation for vengeance. White's anger and thirst for violence has overtaken him in this moment, and he won't let anything stop him from seeing Green dead. The Third Temple is intended to be the longest level in the game by a significant margin, but you barely notice it because every second of the fight is so high energy. The catharsis you feel while swinging after Green, firing on him with everything you have, is heightened by the fact that you recognize the scenery in this fight. You can plainly see how destructive White's hatred is because you know how everything looked before, and you can see how much more damaged it is now. The Third Temple sets the groundwork for the ultimate message of this game, that the only true way forward is to let go of your anger, and to try and find something better in its place, and that groundwork is made more effective by the level immediately prior to it. The dramatic build that Holy Ground provides is very important for the larger narrative of the entire game. Where many other levels in the game ultimately serve as a connective tissue to show what White is doing between one cutscene and the next, Holy Ground actually builds the emotions within the player that aligns with what the main characters are likely feeling. The game developers don't really employ this sort of synergy between the player and the characters on this scale in many other places in the game, but they show how capable they are at storytelling by doing so here. Thank you all so much for watching. Neon White is genuinely one of the best games I've played in such a long time, and this level in particular really spoke to me. The graphics, the music, the mechanics, everything about the game comes together to create a wonderful experience that anyone who's interested in speedrunning will almost certainly enjoy. And despite how different this level is from the rest, I hope that this video proves that even this level has the same effect. If you, for whatever reason, watched all of this but haven't played Neon White yet, I really can't recommend it enough. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like and maybe subscribing if you're new here. And while you're at it, maybe check out this other video I've made. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.